Peace to you, my friends. The Spiritual Awareness Center welcomes you to this inspirational video. Let's take a few moments at the beginning here and take a deep breath and set our intention for this time together in unity. For wherever we are, God is. I release my body into light. I release my mind into peace. I release my heart into love. I release my soul into the sacred. And so it is. The spiritual lesson for today is about Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving in a perspective of building a new world. We're all familiar with the Thanksgiving story of the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag Indians coming together for that, what we call now that first Thanksgiving in America. But we often forget that they came here to build a new world. As our ancestors chose to build a new world, so are we, their descendants, building a new world. We may not recognize that we are in the process of building a new world because we're living in it day by day, but we are building this new world together. In 2012, The Return of Quetzalcoatl by Daniel Penchbeck, he spoke of the building blocks of the universe as understood by today's scientists. Matter is mostly composed of empty space, and if you were to blow up an atom to the size of St. Peter's Cathedral in Rome, the neutron at its center would be the size of a grain of salt. There's a lot of space in there. The electrons whizzing around the neutron cannot be considered objects in the traditional sense. They do not exist the way that the chair you're sitting on exists, but only suggested as tendencies to exist. Isn't that fascinating? Physicists at the quantum level, a level even smaller than a grain of salt, tried to measure those electrons and neutrons and discovered that their own consciousness and intention affected all the attempts to measure them, and the way they thought about the forms caused the forms to manifest differently. Therefore, they concluded that consciousness had to be integrated into the understanding of matter. So we want to thank Albert Einstein and all the scientists for being a messenger of truth and for seeing the universe in a different way. Penchbeck also reminds us that consciousness is expanding more rapidly all the time. He uses this illustration. The Stone Age lasted about 1,000 years. The Bronze Age lasted a few thousand years. The Industrial Age took 300 years. The Chemical or Plastic Age began little more than a century ago. Biotechnology geared up in the last decade, and we are rushing into the nanotechnology age, which could last all of 8 minutes. It's no wonder we're feeling like time is whizzing by. But what has that got to do with building a new age, with building a new world in this age? Well, let's look at a few things. Bob Jackson, one of our beloved members who passed away last year, shared a message about how shifting awareness and expanding consciousness, like the scientists on the quantum level, how they shift affects the universe in a different way. It reminded me that before we can build this new world that we want to have We have to make a shift in consciousness, just as the Pilgrims had to make a shift in consciousness when they sailed across the Atlantic Ocean 400 years ago. James Gilliland says, "Awakening consciousness is a process. We are to make our own connection to spirit, not outside ourselves, but inside. And most of us are in this process right now." Those 8 shifts that Bob Jackson sent to us come from Lee Carroll, who channels an angelic entity named Chiron. And here are the 8 shifts we must make before we start to build the new world. We are already at one or more of these shifts right now, but I thought it would be interesting to go over them again. So shift 1 is curiosity about awareness. This is the first shift where we begin to be curious, even fascinated by consciousness. I know I'm always fascinated by consciousness. Shift 2, we start to believe what is real and what is not. Shift 2 is to start applying what we are learning about consciousness and awakening. It is discerning the truth. Shift 3, we recognize that the light of God does indeed dwell within us, and to take responsibility for our own lives. Here's a story that illustrates this point that I heard on the radio several years ago. A minister from Washington was on vacation in Ohio with his family, and while they were waiting to get some pizza, he took a little walk. He was feeling separated from God and needed some time to think. And as he walked, he asked himself, "Does God really care about me? Does God know where I am?" A little while later, he passed a payphone, and it started ringing. He looked around, but no one seemed to be interested in answering it, so he walked over, picked up the receiver. The operator said, "I have a call for Pastor Evans. Are you Pastor Evans?" The minister gulped and stammered something, temporarily speechless. The caller said, "That's all right, operator. I recognize his voice. He is Pastor Evans." She began to tell him how much he had helped her when she had contemplated suicide, and how he helped her to see that life was a gift not to be thrown away. And as she talked and expressed her gratitude, Pastor Evans' heart opened up more and more. He listened with tears in his eyes and finally asked, "How did you get this number?" "Isn't this your office number?" she asked. "No," he said. "My office is in Washington, and I'm at a payphone in Dayton, Ohio." And she said, "Well, I was thinking about you, and I wanted to thank you for helping me, and the numbers just came to me, and I just dialed them. I thought I remembered them as your office number." When the woman hung up, Pastor Evans closed his eyes and said, "Thank you, God. I now know that you do know where I am, always." That's a great story. Shift 4, releasing karma. When many of us began this shift in awareness, we accepted the law of karma as a truth, and it still is a truth for those who have yet begun to shift. Karma is a part of duality. What you sow, you reap, whether in this life or another life. But in this shift, we come to realize that we can step out of karma anytime we want. And part of this shift is recognizing that we have no idea where we are going or what we are doing. We begin to trust spirit, trust in our awareness, and center our attention in spirit. In other words, we let go and we let God. Shift number 5, sending light out to the rest of the planet, to the rest of the world. Your intention does make a difference. Your light changes the world wherever you walk. And we've seen this in the recent election. We sent our light out to everyone, to all the people, not only in America, but in the world, and also during this COVID-19 crisis. We must send our light out to everyone. Shift 6, understanding and being a part of co-creation. We begin to work in resonance with Spirit, co-creating a better world. Shift 7, the ability to heal your own body. We can begin to work with our DNA now on an interdimensional level to go back to a time before the disease and re-anchor that health into our body. So learn to speak to yourselves every day and affirm, I am whole, complete, and perfect in every way. Shift 8, the final shift, ascension. Now, ascension is not exactly what we perceive it to be. If we go through the first 7 shifts, we begin leaving a trail of light wherever we walk. Ascension is the state of realizing I am not who I used to be. We realize that every part of our being, body, mind, heart, and soul, is made of light. And we are grateful for that light. So this Thanksgiving, let us give thanks not only for our blessings, but also for our Pilgrim mothers and fathers who came to America to build a new world and who paved the way for us to realize that we too can build a new world. We don't have to board a ship and travel to the new land across the ocean. We are doing it right where we are. And just as the Pilgrims had a vision of the new land, we also have a vision of our new land, where truth and wisdom and love and tolerance and compassion and service are practiced by everyone. Our new land, our new world is one of enlightenment, and we are building it right now with the shift in our own consciousness. And one day all of humanity will have made that shift, and it will indeed be a new world of light. The spiritual lesson for this time is to have an opportunity for you to become the healer of yourself. Now, it would take a lot more time than we have today to do this, so I'm just going to give you the directions, and you can do it on your own time. So the directions are to first go to your center of peace, and you know how to do that. And when you are ready, begin talking to the DNA of your body, being grateful for the health of each part. You will start with your toes and cherish each toe with love and gratitude and affirm, my toes are whole, complete, and perfect right now. Then move on to the soles of your feet, then the heels and the ankles. Move up for each part of your body, all the way to your scalp, making the same affirmation for each part. And when you have affirmed perfect health for each individual part of your body, say the affirmation for your entire body. And then say the affirmation for your thoughts and for your emotions. Do this exercise every day, morning or evening, your choice, for 1 week, and notice the change in you. So thank you so much for being with us today. Namaste, and may the Divine Spirit bless you now and forevermore. And may your light shine as we build this new world together. and so it is.